Hey everybody! Well, this week I've got a little surprise for you. It's behind me right here and you get a little sneak peek of it. You're gonna see Neon Leo and you're also gonna see some other projects. We're getting finished up here. It's the start of the season for pufferfishvillas, so we've got a lot of things, little things to finish up, and then we're going full bore for the rest of the seasons. So hold on tight, because here we go. We're Douglas and Esperanza, and we decided to leave our lives in the US and move to magical Loreto, Mexico, where we built our boutique resort Pufferfishvillas from the ground up and work running it and saving to expand in the future. Please come with us to follow our journey and live before you die. All right, here is Esperanza just finishing up the mural. Now this is the projected mural, and here, step away for, let me get on this side, step away for a second so I can show them. So this is going to be the mural that we're trying to put up here. And we're going to move this plant right here, this palm, but if we can make it look like that, it's going to be unbelievably awesome. We've got a bunch of paint on order, neon paint, and we have it all, well, you can't see, yeah, you can see a little bit. It's all traced out here. So this will be our first attempt at doing a real like art mural. So I'm really excited to give this a try and see. Otherwise, we might just have to mount this projector permanently. Just have it.
Oh my god.
The mural will only be at night. It's a night mural and it goes away during the day.
Do we have the same color paint to repaint it white?
Yes.
Okay.
If this goes bad, when we paint, if this goes really bad, we have a lot of this paint so we can just cover it up.
Perfect.
So this morning, I'm getting started with the selfie mural by the pool. And we are right here, and you can see from the nighttime work, we got this all penciled out here. So we've got a good base. So I'm gonna do the easy stuff first, and that's like the Pufferfishvillas sign and the post, because those are one solid color. And then I'm going to start to work on the rainbow stripes for the donkey, and that's going to be a lot of work. So, but first we'll get the easy stuff done. I got the Pufferfishvillas part of the sign all done. And this was actually reverse of how I did the other signs. I painted the blue part and left the white part because the wall was white, and it was a little bit harder to do than the other way around, just painting a blue background and then painting white letters on it. But I might do that differently next if I did it again, but I don't have the projector because we gave it back. So if I painted the blue over, then I wouldn't have the lettering on there, and I would have to go get the projector back to project the lettering on. So that's why I did it this way. All right, I mixed up some brown to paint the wood pole that's going to go holding up the sign, and I didn't of course have brown, but I have a lot of colors. I have the whole rainbow. The other colors, I had red, orange, and black over there to mix up this brown, and then I have yellow, green, blue, violet. So I have pretty much all the colors of the rainbow, and I can mix any color that I need. And for the, we have neon colors for the donkey, the rainbow donkey. So that's coming up. But first, I'm going to paint the wood post. We are started on the body of the donkey. And you can see I got the post done and Pufferfishvillas. This is the donkey, what it's going to look like, hopefully. So we're working on that, and then we're going to work our way down. I got the hooves done, and we're going to keep seeing what we can do.
We are here working on our masterpiece. We saw a picture of this somewhere and we loved it. It reminded us of Leo. So we wanted to have a picture of Leo on the wall. And then also we were thinking, you know, it's kind of like a selfie wall. Maybe people will want to stand in front of it and take a picture.
Definitely a selfie wall.
Yeah. Doug right now is writing Loreto, Mexico on there. And then he's gonna freehand it in black. Because I was thinking pufferfishvillas, but maybe people don't know where that's at, so.
Well, hopefully they'll tag it and then it'll tell them where it's at.
Oh, that's a good idea. I always forget about that. So, this is Leo. We're kind of proud of ourselves. It's you know, I'll show you what it's supposed to begin like. Okay, well, nope, that's not the right one. Oh. Okay, so this is what we were going for. Now let's see here. Yeah, it works. The very last painting looks awesome.
We finally got done with our mural and we are very happy how it turned out. I thought I'd show you another little tiny micro project that I worked on, and that is a holder for our pool noodles. Our pool noodles are very popular. People come here and they like to float around the pool. The pool noodle is like the best thing to just float around in the pool and cool off. So we keep pool noodles here. The problem is we had them in this basket, which I actually got for free from one of my friends here, and they would sit up in the basket. Let me show you one that's already wrecked. And then they bend over and then they rip apart, and they only last maybe 2 months and then they're gone and I have to buy new ones. And they're not super expensive, but you know, they cost a couple bucks, I think $1.50 a piece or something like that. So I wanted to make a holder that would hold them straight, and so they would bend over and break in half. And I wanted to go get a piece of plastic roofing and do just this, which worked out perfectly, exactly how I thought it would. And now we have a good holder. And I went to our hardware store that I go to all the time, and the owner there looked through, found this piece. This is actually almost this size. It had a little tiny piece off of it, and he gave it to me for free. I didn't even have to pay for it. Another project done. We won't have to buy the pool spaghetti as often. Yes, I call them pool spaghetti instead of pool noodles here. And it was all done for free. Saved me probably $10 every 2 months. So not a lot of money, but $60 a year. $60 in my pocket. So these things should last a year otherwise. So, all right, on to the next project. Something that I've been fighting with in the last week or two has been the new battery we got for the Mooch. Now, I was all excited about this battery, and it had been performing fantastic since we got back. Been in there for about 3 months. We've been using it, you know, for our regular travel, so everything had been good. Then the battery stopped charging and it acts really funny. So I contacted the company. They seem to think it is a firmware problem on the firmware in the BMS, which is the battery management system chip in the battery itself, which controls charging and discharging the battery. So they have to send me a programming dongle that I plug into the battery to reprogram the firmware on the BMS. They think that will fix it. We luckily have some relatives coming down because getting it down here otherwise could be difficult. They are coming down next week, so they are going to bring that. We had it shipped to them. We will reprogram the battery and see if that works. But until that, this thing is dead in the water, sitting here with a battery that won't charge. And to make it even worse, the Rhino, which I had running, I had our new priming system in there, everything else, well, it will not start. And I've done some work on it, like looking at the gas, the fuel. Is it getting fuel? Yes, it's getting fuel. I went through the whole ignition system, and well, I started to go through the ignition system, pulled out the spark plug, checked everything, gapped it, put it back. But even with starter fluid, this thing won't catch. It'll just turn over, won't catch. So it's most likely not getting spark. Unfortunately, this has been a problem multiple times before. I replaced the magneto. I replaced the voltage regulator, which sends power to the spark plug, spark plug coil. I've replaced the spark plug coil and the wires and all that. And so somewhere in there must be something that isn't working anymore. I hope it's not the magneto, because you have to take half the, pull off all this junk on the engine to replace the magneto. And then the DC voltage regulator and the spark plug coil are easy to get to, but I have not had enough time to dig into it. So this thing is a big pain in the you-know-what. We did get it really cheap, but it's almost a full-time job keeping it running. So it's out of commission for at least the foreseeable future. And we are just down to our 4Runner. So we're going to hopefully get the Mooch back up and running here soon. And then we can have 2 vehicles, and the Rhino will just get fixed whenever. So I finally got this programming dongle. I'll show you it here. Can Analyst, the battery company, Eco Battery, actually sent me this programming dongle for free, and we need to reprogram the firmware on the battery. Now, the battery does have Bluetooth, and you can do basic functions like look at the cells and the health of the battery through the BMS, or battery monitoring system, or battery management system. But it does not have a way to reprogram the firmware or the code that runs the BMS through the Bluetooth. So you have to have a physical connection. And the CAN bus is the interface which allows the battery to communicate with everything else in the system, like the charge controller and that. So we're going to use that to program the battery, and we will see if this fixes the problem. Now, the problem, as I understand it from the manufacturer, is that the original firmware that came with this battery was not balancing these cells correctly. So this battery has 7 cells in it, I believe. So those cells are actually 7 separate batteries split up. And the problem is that the firmware was not correctly balancing those batteries. So they may discharge or charge at a different rate from each other. And you want the BMS to make sure that all of the batteries get charged to 100% every time. And what was happening is they weren't. I believe what was happening is it would charge until one of the cells, one of the batteries in this big battery, one of the cells got to 100%, and then it would shut off. Well, that leaves several of the other cells lower than 100%. So then they're starting out lower. And so the next time you drive it, it actually just makes the problem worse and worse until you get cells that are charged to 100% and other cells in the battery are charged to like 25%. And that is the problem we're having. And so what happened was you would charge, the battery would say charge to 100%. You would take the charger off, you would run it for just as soon as you started putting a load on the battery, within a second or two, it would go from 100 down to like 27. And I believe what was going on is the BMS thought the battery is fully charged, but as soon as it got under load, it was able to see that no, the battery only has really 20%, 27% charge over the entire all 7 cells, not 100% over the 7 cells. Each cell is not to 100%. So this firmware is supposed to fix that problem. Now we do have to drive it in a very particular fashion where we charge it to 100% after the firmware and then discharge it to 75%, recharge to 100, discharge to 75. I believe that would be so that you don't end up bottoming out a cell to 0% charge while you're doing this process of driving it. So we're going to go through that. You're supposed to do that 100%, 75% cycle for about 5 to 7 cycles in the battery, and then they all should be balanced and they should stay balanced after that. So they will all charge to 100%, then discharge, but then charge up to 100% whether or not they discharge at the same rate, because they aren't going to. When you get done driving it and you're ready to charge, you might have some cells at 25%, some cells at 35%. It could be totally different depending on how they discharge during operation. So we'll give this a try. I'll give you an update after we get it through the entire process of rebalancing the battery, and we'll tell you how that went. So today I have a maintenance project to do, and it is to clean our pool solar panels. So let me get the hose ready here, and we'll get it up there, and then I'll take you up and show you what we do. All right, so these solar panels get a lot of dirt on them, and you can see they're pretty dirty right now, and it's surprising how much of the thermal efficiency that takes down, because when they get this dirt on them, it reflects the heat, and then they do not heat very well. So we are going to clean them off and get them to maximum efficiency. Now, I'll show you something else that happened up here. This is a vent, and it vents the air out of the panels when they're off, and it vents the air and water. So the biggest deal that is if these panels sit out here, up here when they're off, they have some amount of water in them. The water heats up, it can get almost to boiling. Then that water will expand, even create some steam. That will expand dramatically, and what happens is that opens a one-way valve and releases that pressure back down into the pool piping system. But that one-way valve then closes up, and as it cools down at night, all this cools down, that steam goes back to water, all the water cools down, and it can actually implode your pipes, because it will crush the pipes by imploding them when all that pressure is that was built up during the day is trapped in there, and then it goes away. So you have to have a vent so that it can suck in air to basically equalize the pressure inside the panels when they cool down. Well, that vent right there, I have put in there with a fitting, because it's the only thing I could find here that would work with the size it is. The problem is I didn't have it tight enough. It blew off while we were gone. We pumped about 2 inches of water out of the pool, probably about 1,000 gallons. And then the skimmer went dry, and the pool actually, the pump shut down luckily because it overheated. But yeah, it was not a good thing. So I have that fixed now, so it should not have any more problems. And now we're going to wash off the solar panels. All right, that easy. We got one of them washed off and we got a bunch more here to go. So I'm gonna get them all washed off. Got all the panels cleaned off here, and it will definitely make a huge difference in efficiency. I've noticed, you know, these solar panels during the winter can probably heat about 6 degrees a day. If they've got stuff on them, it might be half that. Maybe you can only get 3 degrees a day out of them on a nice sunny day. So it really does help. And every degree we can get out of these solar panels is a degree we don't have to pay to run our heat pump, which costs probably 5 times what it costs to run the solar panels, at least 5 times to run the heat pump. So we try to get every bit of a heat we can out of the solar panels first before using the heat pump. Now, how often do I have to do this? Probably so we don't use the solar panels in the summer. I don't clean them in the summer because we're trying to keep the pool cool anyway. So in the summer, they just get dirt buildup all the way till the fall when we start using them. Now we're into the fall now. It's dropping into the 70s at night. And the pool is gonna wanna go to whatever the average between the day and nighttime temperatures is. So right now we're only getting to like high 80s during the day and the mid 70s at night. The pool is gonna try to go to about 80 degrees or 81, 82 degrees because that would be the kind of the average temperature that's trying to get to. So to keep it at 88, we do have to heat it every single day. So if we use a cover, we only lose about 3 degrees at night right now. And then the solar heater can replace that 3 degrees in probably a couple hours in the morning. And then we don't need to run it the rest of the day. It's up to 88 by usually like it probably doesn't start heating till 9 o'clock. So by 9 to 11, or maybe 8 to 10 it heats. And then by 10 o'clock, it's heated up to temperature for the rest of the day. Now in the middle of the winter, we probably have to clean the panels once every 2 weeks because it is windy here in the winter on and off, and that does kick up a lot of dust, not from our property but from the road, which is dirt, from our neighbor's property, which is all dirt. Our property is mostly gravel, so we don't get really any wind kicked up dust because of the gravel. That's a whole reason I pretty much graveled our entire acre, almost. There's one section I don't have graveled is because that's where we're gonna build our other villas, but the rest of it's all graveled to keep the dust down, and it really helps a lot. And then we will have to start running the solar heaters. It's the beginning of November now. I'm hoping we can stick with just solar through probably mid-November to the end of November. By the end of November, we're gonna have to start adding in some heat pump heating because we just will not be able to get enough heat out of the solar to get it back up to 88 by, I usually like to get it up to 88 by noon. So we usually have to phase in the heat pump about the end of November, and then we'll be using the heat pump all the way through mid-March to the end of March. And then by the beginning of April, we can usually go all the way to 100% solar. And then by the mid-May or the end of May, we don't need a heater at all because then the pool can stay 88 degrees with no heater. Thanks everybody for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see our future content, and never forget to live before you die.